Relief work is something I've often associated with stone. I picture large cathedrals or monuments, various contexts in which the telling of history takes on a particular format and is rendered permanent. For this exhibition, the idea was to focus on relief work in wood, particularly relief as a form of storytelling, but to understand its history and contexts outside of the canon of European art history. It was born largely through thinking about 3 different artists who are going to be in residence at NIROX. The first was Tun, who was coming through Griffin Art Projects as part of a program around Future Worldings. So Tun was here from the 1st to the 30th of June, and we were thinking about different ways to activate his time. He really wanted to meet other artists in South Africa who also worked in wood and spend time with them. At the same time, Dada Kanisa was scheduled to come into residence the following month, and they also worked in wood. They also had an approach that one could relate to relief work.
I'm trying to simplify, using basic shapes. This is the shoulder. I'm just trying to work with very simple shapes to illustrate the effect.
And then Colin Maswangani had been looking to run a second version of Carving X, which was a carving workshop initially hosted in 2022 with fellow artists Richard Jauke, Ben Tuge and Amras Maswangani. So those 3 sort of factors came into play again, and we decided to host a 10-day workshop on the back of which we would have an exhibition. That's the contextual part.
Big brains come together. We share lots of information about what is happening, of which is something that I believe will then translate back to these up-and-coming artists that are actually depending on us for more information, depending on us for help. So.
One could think about rock engraving, for example, as one of the earliest forms of communication, a way in which our ancient ancestors were able to leave marks behind on the surface of a rock for others who might pass through an area or for future generations. Think about it as the written word. Again, there's this very clear relationship between the marks that we leave on the surface and storytelling.
To visualize, to imagine a story. The reliefs, we used to do even relief carvings back then. So we were taught to imagine, not to look at something as a reference. Imagine a story.
For Simon Moshapo Jr., a lot of the thinking was that, he talks about trying to get to the very core of the tree. For Simon, it's about listening to the wood and the spirits inside the wood and what they're saying to him, and trying to bring that out as much as possible. So he considers himself a kind of mediator between worlds. Tun speaks about his sculptural practice and its relationship to heritage and culture as someone who is Squamish. This form serves in some way as a kind of archive, and it's one that revolves around community and people gathering to pass a story on. I think that's an important context of the show, to It's about how we read and about one's awareness of the different contexts to which we speak.